If you haven't seen Season 1 of this manhwa, go back and check it out. I've already uploaded it on my channel. While you're at it, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button for this video. Let's begin. In the heart of the untouched wilderness, where the whispers of the trees tell tales of old, a new season begins. The village, nestled at the edge of the forest, holds secrets yet to be uncovered. Then the scene shifts to Rayon, who is bewildered to see someone. Then it shown the person Rayon was staring. It was Sieghart's direct lineage 6th Training Hall's top trainee Kane Sieghart. Both groups were surprised to see each other in the same place. Rayon spoke up, his voice tinged with surprise. "Why is the team from the 6th training ground here?" Kane, the leader of the opposing team, echoed Rayon's question. "I have the same question. Why are you guys here from the 5th training ground in this area?" Rayon's gaze locked onto Kane, and a name echoed in his mind. Despite being from the 6th training ground, Kane seemed to be in surprisingly good shape. Rayon thought to himself, he's in much better condition than I remember. He also seemed to be a pretty advanced sword user now. Kane replied to Rayon, "We're heading out on our orc raid mission." "But what about you, Rayon Sieghart? What brings you to this place?" Rayon replied, "We're also on our orc raid mission." Kane's eyes widened in surprise. "You're saying that Training Hall 5 also received the orc raid mission?" He paused, his brow furrowed in concern. "Our training head didn't mention that we'd be working alongside another team." Rayon's expression turned skeptical. "What?" The scene shifted to the night before departure, at a nearby bar. Limer, a seasoned instructor, raised his mug in a toast. "To your students, Rayon. They've gained great honor for their accomplishments in their last mission. And I heard they even defeated a group of bandits, despite their young age. That's truly impressive, and a testament to your leadership." Limer leaned in, a thoughtful expression on his face. "I must say, considering their outstanding performance in the previous mission, I'm inclined to wonder, should I send them on the orc raid mission?" Limer chuckled, a hint of amusement in his voice. "I bet they'd get it over with in a hurry." Limer added with a smile, "And I'm sure the head of the family will praise me again for the success of this mission." But before Limer could continue, his interlocutor immediately cut in, "Actually, that's not possible. The 6th Training Hall has already been assigned to take on the orc raid mission." Instructor Commander of the 6th Training Ground spoke up, "Consuming the monsters isn't a bad thing. What's important is proper teamwork to accomplish the mission, rather than relying solely on individual strength. Your students are undoubtedly strong, but they seem to rely too heavily on their own abilities. In contrast, the students from the 6th Training Ground are better suited for this mission, as they have been trained to prioritize teamwork." Medhun, the instructor of the 6th Training Hall, spoke with confidence. "In the past week, every single student in the 6th Training Hall successfully completed the notorious Hell Week training without a single failure. Therefore, we will be taking on the orc raid mission." Limer let out a sigh, a hint of amusement in his voice. "Are you anxious or something because my students have been getting attention recently? Why don't we just send both teams on the mission?" Methun's eyes widened in surprise. "You want to send 2 training halls out on the same mission?" Limer smiled, a hint of mischief in his voice. "Anyway, we have to get rid of those orcs sooner or later. So, we'll send the 2 training halls together. If 2 groups are competing with each other, they'll get it done much faster and better, don't you think?" Both Limer and Medhun were excited to see how this would play out. Medhun nodded, a serious expression returning to his face. "I'll go ask for permission from the Patriarch. This is an unconventional approach, after all." The scene shifted back to Rayon's group, where Ben was addressing Kane's team. "There must have been complications in the communication. You guys can head back." Ben's expression exuded confidence as he turned to Kane's group. "We can take this mission on our own." Kane's face darkened with frustration, his tone taking on a sharp edge. "I won't let your words slide, Ben Sieghart. Has your time in the 5th Training Hall made you arrogant?" Kane's anger boiled over, his words cutting deep. The 6th training hall excels in missions that require teamwork, far surpassing the 5th training hall in this regard. I'm certain this mission will be overwhelming for you, given your lack of experience with teamwork. Ben chuckled, a hint of amusement dancing in his eyes. Kane Sieghart, I'm well aware of your impressive skills, but you'd do well not to underestimate the 5th training hall. Rayon's thoughts turned inward, a hint of puzzlement crossing his mind. I'm sure Limer knew that both training halls would be here. But why didn't he tell us in advance? Rayon closed his eyes, his thoughts clarifying. Limer believes that experience is crucial. If I consider that, then this mission is very close to the real thing. But teamwork and tactics are crucial in monster raids, and those are exactly the areas where we're lacking. A more sinister thought crossed Rayon's mind. What if Limer intentionally pitted us against the 6th training hall, wanting us to learn through competition and discover our own weaknesses? Rayon's eyes narrowed, a hint of annoyance crossing his face. That sly, snake-like elf, he muttered under his breath, cursing Limer's cunning nature. Rayon's expression softened, his thoughts taking a more reflective turn. Well, I suppose it's a valuable learning opportunity for the others too. And then there's what Mother told me before I left. Rayon's gaze drifted inward, his mother's words echoing in his mind. I want you to show me that you're a swordsman who protects others. The memory had lingered with him ever since, a constant reminder of the promise he'd made to her. Rayon intervened, his voice calm and measured. Hey, calm down, both of you. Are you just going to waste time arguing? Rayon's expression turned thoughtful, and then a hint of a smile played on his lips. You know what? Why don't we just settle this with a bet instead? He suggested, his tone light. Otherwise, we'll just keep arguing in circles and never reach a conclusion. Ben's eyes widened in surprise, and he turned to Rayon, his voice laced with skepticism. What? What do you mean, a bet? We have no idea what kind of situation we'll be facing, so why waste our energy on something like that? Rayon's expression remained calm as he replied to Ben's concerns. Neither of you wants to give up on this mission. For this mission, I'm certain we'll be facing a large number of orcs. Given its classification as a raid, I'm also expecting to encounter a high orc too. Rayon raised his hand, holding up a single finger to signal to the group. All right, we have a bet to decide who will be the commander of this mission. Rayon spoke up, outlining his strategy. We'll take down the leader of the orcs first, creating chaos in their ranks. Then, we'll carry out the rest of the mission. Isn't that reasonable? The two groups fell silent, taken aback by Rayon's words. He continued, his tone measured. If the commanding team is struggling, it'll just be an opportunity for the other team to take advantage of the situation. Does that sound good to you? Rayon asked. Kane nodded in agreement. All right, sounds good. Rayon's expression reflected his relief. Okay, then. Rayon gave a decisive nod. Let's get started. We'll head to the mountain. As soon as Rayon finished speaking, the two groups burst into a sprint, their competitive spirits ignited. Martha's thoughts raced as she ran, her mind focused on the challenge ahead. The conditions are simple, she thought to herself. Either take down the entire enemy team or capture their flag, that's all it takes to win, Martha thought, a hint of a strategic mind at play. It's actually simpler than having everyone fight each other. Rayon turned to Martha, a thoughtful expression on his face. Then shall we plan our approach, he asked. Martha's eyes sparkled with confidence as she replied, a hint of disdain in her voice. Why bother? They're all just a bunch of losers. Martha called out to Rayon's group as she sprinted ahead, her voice laced with competitive spirit. I'll go wipe them all out. You just sit here and wait. I've got this. Martha's voice dripped with disdain. There's no need to use tactics against those losers. As Martha clashed with the enemy, her anger erupted in a fierce roar. Unleashing her legendary sense skill, she tapped into her heightened awareness. Because of my sharpened senses, I don't need to see, she declared, her voice echoing through the battlefield as she struck down her foes with deadly precision. Ben's eyes narrowed in concentration as he thought to himself, carefully picturing the situation on the battlefield. Rayon watched as the battle commenced, a thoughtful expression on his face. Just then, Lunan approached him, concern etched on their faces. "Is it really okay to have them fight without a plan?" they asked. Rayon shrugged, a hint of resignation in his voice. "They're all so confident. It's not like they'd listen to me anyway." Lunan turned to Rayon, a hint of concern in his voice. "Is it possible to win against them?" Rayon's expression was grim. "No, I'm sure we'll lose." Martha's frustration boiled over, and she couldn't help but think of herself as pathetic. The feeling only intensified her anger. Ben, too, seethed with frustration, his emotions simmering just below the surface. Martha's thoughts swirled with growing frustration. "Why can't I get through them?" she seethed inwardly. "They're all weaklings, but their defense is infuriatingly strong." Martha's thoughts were sharply interrupted by a young man from the opposing team. "You guys aren't the center of the universe," he exclaimed, his eyes blazing with determination. "Don't look down on us." Martha's eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment, she was left speechless. The sounds of clashing steel and pounding footsteps echoed through the forest, a cacophony of chaos as the battle raged on. As the dust settled, Ben and Martha stood amidst the aftermath of their battle, their faces etched with shame and disappointment. Their eyes cast downward, they couldn't help but feel humbled by their defeat. Rayon asked with a smile, "So, was it as easy as you imagined?" "It looks like you guys were the ones to fall back, though." Rayon's expression turned stern, his voice taking on a serious tone. "You guys are mistaken," he said, his eyes scanning the group. "The world doesn't stay still while you're improving. Did you look down on them because they were ignored by the Orwan Kingdom?" He paused, his gaze piercing. "I'm sure we'll win since we did better than them recently." "Isn't that what you guys thought?" Rayon's voice cut through the air, his words sharp with criticism. "This is what happens when you just fight without any tactics, without working together, without knowing your enemy." The group's eyes dropped, their faces somber. "You were drunk on your own arrogance," Rayon continued, his tone unyielding. "You ended up wasting your energy, aura, and even exposed our techniques to them." The group's silence was palpable, heavy with the weight of their mistakes. Kane's group was abuzz with excitement, their voices filled with admiration as they congratulated each other. "Those swordsmen train every day too," one of them said, nodding in respect. "Just because we might be doing better doesn't mean we should look down on them." Kane watched his team with a warm smile, his eyes shining with pride. He stood silently, his presence a testament to his leadership, as his team basked in the glow of their hard-won victory. The scene shifted to Rayon and Lunan standing off to the side, their voices hushed in conversation. Lunan's brow furrowed in concern as she asked, "Then we lost?" Rayon turned to the group, his eyes locked on Lunan as he replied, "No, we still have a chance." Ben's eyes widened in surprise, his voice stuttering, "Are really?" Martha's face was set in determination, her voice shaking with emotion. "I'll do anything," she vowed, "if we can win against those bastards." Rayon's gaze swept across the group, a hint of approval in his voice. "Well, at least you're still willing to try," he said. "All right, then." Rayon declared to his team with unwavering confidence, "I'll tell you how we can win." Friends, Season 2's first chapter ends here. If you want to see Chapter 2 of Season 2, let us know in the comments below. If you liked our video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.